All right, welcome back to the channel. Gervonta Davis's team talks Keyshawn Davis and says that he's being cowardish in relation to another lightweight, Andy Cruz. And we might actually get a great trilogy or a three-man tournament between the three of those. Very, very good lightweights. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135-pound division where a trainer for Gervonta Davis, Kenny Ellis, let it be known what his thoughts were on the lightweight division and specifically Keyshawn Davis, and accusing Keyshawn Davis, who wants to get a fight with Gervonta Davis, of ducking and avoiding some business that he has with a Cuban lightweight named Andy Cruz. Now, before I get into that, let me welcome you back to the channel. Thank you so much for your support. And hit that super thanks if you don't mind, because it is the best way to support independent channels, boxing channels like myself, where you're going to get the straight truth and you're not going to get somebody that's paid off to say certain things to make certain fighters and certain promotional companies look good at the detriment or to the detriment of other fighters. So Gervonta Davis is clearly the number one guy in the lightweight division, the WBA champion. Many of the fights that he looked to get in the lightweight division were not available to him. As of right now, I'm not sure, as I've been on vacation, whether or not the date for the fight between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach has been settled yet. Haven't been able to check my inbox or see what's going on with that, but I'm sure that's right down the pike if it's not already been announced. But unfortunately, wasn't able to get Shakur Stevenson, wasn't able to get Vasily Lomachenko. So kind of stuck with that. But never fear, there really are very good fighters in the lightweight division. One of the fighters that are very, very good has been calling out Gervonta Davis is Keyshawn Davis. If you're not familiar with Keyshawn Davis, you should get familiar with Keyshawn Davis because he's a very, very solid fighter. He is a former, he was an Olympic silver medalist. He's an undefeated fighter. He's got not a lot of fights, but I think that he's on his way now to, be in position to contend for a championship. He's been talking a lot of smack about Gervonta, saying Gervonta's too small, what Gervonta Davis can't do with him, all of that stuff, right? So Kenny Ellis hears it and he says, hey, man, you got problems that are not related to Gervonta. There's a guy named Andy Cruz. And if you're not familiar with Andy Cruz is, I think he's only got like 7 professional fights right now, about 7 professional fights. In his 7 professional fights, though, they've all been between like 10 round fights. So he pretty much just went into the pros ready to go. He's a multiple-time Olympic gold medalist, and he's somebody that has beaten Keyshawn Davis in the amateurs. My understanding is 4 times that he's beaten them in the amateurs. So what Kenny Ellis is saying is, hey, man, why aren't you mentioning your nemesis, Keyshawn? Why don't I hear you talking about Andy Cruz? I would think instead of trying to go after Gervonta, you'd want to get your get back and beat Andy Cruz. Kenny Ellis says, well, the reason that Keyshawn Davis doesn't want to do that is because Keyshawn Davis knows he can't win. And just like Keyshawn Davis had his gold medal taken from him by Andy Cruz, according to Kenny Ellis, so would Andy Cruz take that golden goose fight that Keyshawn's looking for in Gervonta Davis. So he's saying, hey, man up and have the fight. Now, there was also an example that he brought up with a guy named Daryl Anthony. Daryl Anthony was an amateur boxer who fought against Mark Breland. If you're not familiar who Mark Breland is one of the best amateurs in history. I do believe at a point in time, his amateur record was like 110-1 with 73 knockouts. And the one loss that he had was to Daryl Anthony. So when Mark Breland turned pro, Mark Breland went and fought Daryl Anthony, and he knocked him. I think he said it was a third round knockout or something, but he got his get back, and that's what I think he needs to do. I don't think Keyshawn Davis should skip out on that or forget that Andy Cruz is there. Now, in the same vein, I don't think that Gervonta Davis should ignore that Keyshawn Davis is there, or that Keyshawn Davis is there, or that Andy Cruz is there. Andy Cruz is really a dark horse, man, in that race. You just don't really know what he's going to bring, man. He's southpaw. He fights southpaw. He fights orthodox. He's very, very slick fighter. Not the biggest lightweight in the world, but has very, very solid power. All around, man. All around, really, really solid fighter. So if what I think is going to be the case, which is that Gervonta is going to stay at lightweight for the majority of his career, I'm sure he'll go up he'll probably go up to 140, maybe once or twice. I don't think he'll go up to 147, but the majority of his career is going to be spent at 135, the remainder of it, then Andy Cruz is going to be there. Unless for some reason Andy Cruz winds up gaining a lot of weight, or, his size comes in and he winds up going to 140, something like that. That may prohibit it. But I don't know, really. I don't think that the promotional issues between Gervonta's camp and Andy Cruz would be much of a problem anyway. But I say all that to say I love that conversation that went on with Kenny Ellis, talking about Keyshawn Davis, talking about Andy Cruz. That's a great way, number one, to get more features on these lightweights, because there are better guys in that division than people think. Like, take, for example, the two fights that took place at welterweight with Karen Kugadajian and Jaron Ennis. Even though I thought Jaron Ennis won both of those fights going away, Karen Kugadajian showed that he is that he's a legit talent, man. That he's awkward. He can fight he can fight in different spots. He can do all kind of different looks and throw fighters off. Though he didn't really have the power to deal with Jaron. He was, tricky. And so those type of fighters exist within all kind of different weight classes. And I certainly hope, and I've tried myself to change over the course of the last few months, that we won't just continually complain about every fight that takes place, man. Otherwise, there's going to be some real good fights we'll never get a chance to see. And Gervonta Davis, Andy Cruz, Keyshawn Davis, Andy Cruz, Keyshawn Davis, Gervonta Davis could really do some things for the lightweight division. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.